We've seen a lot of big EVs on the market, but what about the small ones, like the Renault Megan E-Tech or the Megan EV? Here in Autogefühl with Thomas, let's go. This here sits on a dedicated EV platform together with the Nissan Ariya. However, the Ariya a way bigger vehicle, but they do share the tech. Interesting here that the daytime running light is just in that lower area here. And the turning indicator you can see here. Top one here, full LED. Here you can also see the daytime running light. I'm just activating here the open and close with the key card. You can see it. Also a nice playing of the light signature here in the top part. So they have some interesting ideas, and also with the key card, just when you approach the vehicle it opens, when you leave then it closes. And now it gets really interesting because the length is only 4 meters 20 or 165 inches, so really a short EV. Even the VW ID3 is 6 centimeters or 2.5 inches longer than this one here. So finally also a small or compact EV. Well, they are still pricey overall, but cheaper than the big EVs, of course. And Nissan Ariya, by the way, is like this longer, so big difference. 18 or here 20-inch wheels, these are the bigger ones, so massive styling, this crossover styling also with the crossover wheel arches right here, and the very slim window line here, racing design line. Overall pretty strong appearance. It doesn't look like as it would be so small. And why does it look so strong in the rear? Once again, because that really tiny window that leaves this massive area right here. You can see all of the color and so on, and also the light signature and so on. Here these are the turning indicators, and there you can see the light signature goes all the way across the vehicle. That looks really very cool. And one disadvantage, of course, when you have that small window here, yeah, it's really hard to see from the inside to the outside. But they also thought about an interesting solution in this respect. Soon going to show you that. Front wheel drive only this vehicle. And the acceleration figures, depending on the version you have, 10 seconds or 7.4. And battery sizes, either 40 or 60 kilowatt hours net. Here today we have the bigger one, and that translates in ideal conditions into a range that is something less than 400 kilometers or less than 250 miles. Also later more about the efficiency or the energy consumption we score here in our test today. As for recharging, 22 kilowatt AC, that's special, especially for this segment here. And then you need like 3 hours for charging. And then DC 130 kilowatts. So when you have a proper charging station, then you need some 35 minutes, 10 to 80% state of charge. Inside of the doors, top part here is hard pack. Then here we have a nice microfiber insert. Here this could be a little bit softer when you put your elbows on it, but overall good build quality. Here's some felt being used, and interesting also the seats are from 100% recycled material. That is great. Here you have the bright fabric, Scandinavian furniture design style, or there's also a black styling available. Here with some leather on the outside, so all animal free. Only the highest trims, they come with animal skin. Steering wheel is animal skin wrap in the higher trims, only animal free in the lowest trim actually. And interesting that button wise, it's very well to control. You have some capacitive buttons, but it's a mix, you know, some capacitive, some real. So overall the user interface on this vehicle is quite good. Seating position, well, it's a small vehicle, but rather feels compact vehicle here in the front. Headroom, 1.89 or 6'2". Still a lot of headroom left, no problem at all. And the seats are also very comfortable, nice and soft, but also, you know, durable enough. At least that's how they feel at this moment. And this is the cockpit overview, really clean, nice layout. Wanna look for the steering wheel. Digital instruments, and on the right side either 9-inch or here the optional 12-inch infotainment. What's really cool here is that bright fabric on the dashboard that creates a very nice atmosphere in the interior. Digital instruments look like these, and when you pick the driving modes it adapts actually. It shows then a different color. It also counts for the ambient lighting, for example, and you can also switch that whole view. So you have different total views like this. Is like an, you know, like a map view you can see here. Here you also have recuperation pedals to change the recuperation modes. More to that while driving. We need to talk about the stalk columns as well. Here, this is then the shifting lever, drive, reverse, park. And then you have a second stalk here for the wipers, and it's really close to each other and you can mistake one for another while driving. And then there's even a third one, and that one is even underneath. And the good thing is you can also control the volume then, just when reaching behind the steering wheel, and also next title by turning that disc here in the part here behind. Renault users know this device. It's kind of old school. It's good to have it. But then again, 3 store cones on one side. This infotainment system is really interesting because it is Android Automotive. So there's a difference. Android Auto is like Apple CarPlay, the direct smartphone mirroring. Android Automotive is the whole system that Volvo is offering Polestar and now also Renault. It means it's Android based and you have it in a very simple way. Everything is straightforward and you have native Google Maps embed. And that is of course an awesome thing to have. Really responsive. That's how it's done. Audi, BMW, Mercedes, VW spend billions on their own infotainment systems and they fail. This one is faster, it's better, has Google Maps, everyone wants that for navigation. Well, and at the same time, you can have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay here. I mean, this is perfect. So why not more manufacturers go this way? They will have to, I guess. The Apple CarPlay integration is also really cool, very large, and you can easily pick your songs and so on. And we have Harman Kardon sound system in here. And I have to say, great surround sound, especially for this vehicle segment here. Thumbs up. Below the screen, that's really interesting here. Still real knobs for climate unit, vent strength and so on. So that's a good user interface that we still have that. And below that, this is an inductive charging pad. Lower middle console has a lot of space and here you set these individual. You can set them a little bit wider, for example, that you can have like big balls or small balls. And this is here another cup holder. Then you have this armrest, can put it up, it's a leatherette cover, and then more space underneath. As for the rear doors, here the handles are there, so it's a nice integration. Why not? Also the nice bright fabric design with the leatherette mix for the rear seats. So the styling here overall really cool, very modern and cozy. However here, for 4 tall adults, nothing really special. So I do hit my knees here. It's a short vehicle, so it's no wonder actually. If you would put the seat a little bit higher, then I could fit a little bit better in this recess here. Headroom wise here, however, it's actually quite okay. I do fit in here. So considering that this car is so short, the offering of space here on the rear is actually quite decent. 2 USB-C chargers, by the way, here in the middle console. This is, by the way, here the extras list. And there you can see the higher trim with a big battery, already close to 50,000 euros. And then we have some extra equipment. We always land at, a little bit less than 50,000 euros then. You open the trunk here with this button, that's a manual hatch, and it's around 400 liters and it's quite spacious. You can see here you can put a cabin trolley even upright in that one. However, then there's a very, high loading sill, but overall you can see these 400 liters of capacity, very well usable, although there's this, high loading sill, but then you gain a lot of height. Well, I don't understand here, when you close it, it always crushes down. You hear that? Who designed this? And why? I mean, did no one actually see that in production? Or I'd say before production. Width, some 90 centimeters or 35 inches. Height is almost 80 centimeters or 30 inches, so that's actually quite cool. And also the length about 80 centimeters, 30 inches. Your cables you can store here underneath, actually, even more space. And we fold the seats from the rear area and then you get 145 in centimeters or 57 inches. Welcome to Thomas's driving lounge with the Renault Megan E-Tech, or Renault Megan EV, that's how I call it to keep it simple. We have here different driving modes. We'll pull to sport mode, also flashing everything in red than the instruments. German Autobahn, freeway, the motorway here, famous German motorway from 40 kilometers an hour. Let's accelerate to top speed. Let's go. $130. Plop, top speed, 160 kilometers an hour, 100 miles per hour. It goes even 166 kilometers per hour. The tachometer usually shows a little bit more speed than it really is on GPS. But that went quick definitely from the get-go. And then it slowed down bit by bit. The acceleration figure, 0 to 1 kilometers an hour, 60 miles an hour, 7.4 seconds. Here it feels very good to handle actually on the motorway at high speeds, not too loud. Of course, this is not a typical speed than here, the top speed, but the lane changing here, very nicely done. Good feeling from the steering wheel as well. The suspension is doing a good job, although we have the big wheels here. It's not too uncomfortable, but really keeping the car upright, low center of gravity because of the battery pack. And here at a motorway speed of 100 kilometers an hour, 60 miles an hour, also reasonable as for the noise insulation. So yeah, I mean, we know these days where some of the French vehicles, besides maybe like a Megan RS or something, but most of the base setup of the French vehicles were rather like on a soft note. But here with the electric vehicles, with a low center of gravity and, you know, a little bit of a sporty approach also that the car doesn't shake up. So it feels pretty agile and sporty indeed. That is very interesting surprise. The driving modes don't make the biggest difference. Usually probably you would keep it in normal comfort mode. Let's take steering. Wow, this is like very sudden reaction from the steering. Sport mode a little bit faster, but then, you know, when you're at higher speeds and have it gentle, but whoa, that's interesting. So when you turn the steering wheel a little bit more, so I'm usually very smooth with steerings, you know, so like this, and you have to do that when you're in this vehicle, because when you apply a little bit too much of that steering, you feel like putting that car all over the place. So that's, by the way, also a thing with the back mirror. So when I put it to the camera system, I have actually a better view through that digital back mirror. Now like 120 to 160, let's go. 30, 40, 150, that's enough for now. You see, there is still something coming as for the acceleration. So even though it's not the strongest EV and you have front wheel drive only, you have sufficient power on the motorway, just not that super high top speed, which is definitely a German thing. So here when the car goes 160 max, yeah, you're in a very, very low spectrum than as for comparable cars, or also the comparable petrol cars and so on. But also noise insulation wise, is also not meant to be driven that that fast actually. Yeah, the only thing is just when you go like slalom really quickly, then the reaction of the steering is too harsh. Other than that, it's very good driving. I mean, it's a lot of fun. It feels very compact. It is compact, and suspension is not too bad because, remember, there's multi-link rear axle or rear suspension. That's also very rare for a vehicle in this size here, in this, not even shortness, but maybe like, yeah, this length, this shortness. So overall, I mean, this is a sporty setup from suspension, especially with the big wheels. But, you know, we have seen that the exterior is likable. We've seen that the interior delivers here a cool lounge atmosphere. Is also still comfortable in driving, also for tall passengers. Other than that, what else we can talk about? Recuperation. It's an electric vehicle. And when you start up the vehicle, there's a standard recuperation set. And manufacturers do that because the homologation has to be in this specific one mode. And then you can all do the driving cycles and the consumption test and so on and so on. Therefore, one has to be standard. And this is the one with some slight recuperation. I lift my foot off the throttle or the accelerator pedal here in the electric vehicle, and there's some deceleration, some regenerative braking. And then I can also diminish that completely. I can let the car roll by putting that pedal here on the right side. So just rolling. And then I can also use the left pedal, go back to the mode. One more, so more regenerative braking, and then even more. That is then the strongest possible with 3 dots inside there, or 3 small arrows. And here you can see I stopped before I want to stop. Actually here I have to apply some throttle once again. And now, but the car is not coming to a complete halt, so I would say it's not the 100% one pedal driving feeling here. Now agile corners. Let's put in that sport mode. Let's see, front wheel drive only. If we have some understeering. Here in the sport mode, definitely the throttle input is way more spontaneous. Here rough road, we also feel more of these big wheels then, so if you want more comfort, stick with smaller wheels. Yeah, here road is slightly wet and we have all that EV power. Then you maybe also heard that we had some wheel spin there in the front. Not too bad though. Let's see here. Direct steering. Yeah, you have to be very cautious. So a little bit wet road and sport mode doesn't really work that well. Then you do have understeering, so you have to be very gentle with the throttle or stick with the comfort mode. Then the vehicle is definitely better to control. It's a lot of fun actually to steer it here in these corners. So actually great handling. So because it's so short, it has a low center of gravity, and you don't feel that weight of the batteries. You know that the EVs are always heavy because of that battery weight, but here, since it's short and you have the low center of gravity, it's really a lot of fun to drive. Really very, very cool. So my average figure here for different use cases and so on is something 16 kilowatt hours on 100 kilometers. So that's like 26 kilowatt hours on 100 miles. That would translate into a 375 kilometer or like 240 miles range. So this is quite good conditions when it's warm. And here now AC has also been running. Quite good conditions for the EVs, not too cold. Of course it might be different in wintertime or if you speed it up constantly on the motorway. But considering the size of the vehicle, and I mean it has a decent battery size definitely when you pick the bigger one, I think that range is definitely good, and also the efficiency is actually just fine. We had some better efficiency with the Nissan Ariya, but that were, even better conditions in that case. And also then of course the bigger battery is also available for the Ariya, so you can, maximize it up as for the range. But overall I think very good here also in the driving test. Is it one of the best small EVs? I think we can very well say so. And you can compare now the VW ID.3, for example, or the Cupra Born. They are approximately the same size.